President Trump made a shocking announcement on January 29, 2025. He signed an executive order to detain undocumented immigrants at Guantanamo Bay. This controversial decision marks a significant shift in the use of the facility. Guantanamo, once reserved for suspected terrorists, will now house individuals accused of entering the United States illegally. Trump claims the facility has ample space, with 30,000 beds available. Critics argue that detaining immigrants at Guantanamo, a place synonymous with human rights abuses, is inhumane and counterproductive. Supporters, however, applaud the move as a necessary step to deter illegal immigration and protect national security. The decision to use Guantanamo Bay for this purpose has drawn sharp criticism from human rights organizations and legal experts alike. As the nation grapples with the implications of this controversial executive order, one thing is certain: the debate over immigration is far from over. The Laken-Riley Act, signed into law earlier this year, plays a crucial role in President Trump's plan to detain undocumented immigrants at Guantanamo Bay. This law mandates the detention of undocumented immigrants who are arrested for or charged with theft-related crimes, even if they haven't been convicted. This means individuals could be held indefinitely without a trial, a stark departure from the principles of due process enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. The act specifically targets the estimated 11 million undocumented individuals residing in the United States, a move that has sparked widespread fear and anxiety within immigrant communities. The Trump administration argues that the Laken-Riley Act is necessary to protect American citizens from dangerous criminals. However, critics argue that the law is discriminatory and unfairly targets a population that is statistically less likely to commit crimes than native-born citizens. The act's passage has been met with fierce opposition from civil rights groups and legal scholars who argue that it violates fundamental legal principles. They point to studies showing that immigrants, including undocumented ones, are incarcerated at lower rates than native-born Americans. The Laken-Riley Act stands as a stark reminder of the Trump administration's hardline stance on immigration, a stance that has drawn both praise and condemnation from the American public. Guantanamo Bay, a U.S. naval base located on leased Cuban territory, carries a heavy historical and political weight. Established in 1903, the base has been a point of contention between the U.S. and Cuba for decades. Its use as a detention camp for suspected terrorists following the 9/11 attacks thrust it into the global spotlight, drawing intense scrutiny and condemnation from human rights organizations worldwide. The facility became synonymous with indefinite detention without trial, torture, and other human rights abuses. Reports of sleep deprivation, force feeding, and solitary confinement sparked outrage and calls for its closure. While the Obama administration made efforts to shutter the controversial prison, transferring some detainees and vowing to close it, these plans were ultimately thwarted. Trump's decision to not only keep Guantanamo open, but to expand its use to house undocumented immigrants has reignited the debate about its legacy. Critics argue that it further tarnishes America's image as a defender of human rights and the rule of law. Human rights groups have condemned Trump's plan, arguing that it is inhumane and illegal to detain undocumented immigrants at Guantanamo Bay, a facility notorious for human rights abuses. They point to the lack of due process, the potential for indefinite detention, and the psychological toll of being held in a place associated with terrorism. Beyond the moral and ethical concerns, experts have raised practical challenges to the plan's feasibility. They question the logistics of transferring and housing thousands of immigrants in a facility not designed for that purpose. Additionally, the cost of operating Guantanamo Bay is significantly higher than that of standard detention centers. The plan has also sparked concerns about access to legal representation and the potential for overcrowding, exacerbating existing issues within the immigration detention system. The American Civil Liberties Union has vowed to challenge the plan in court, arguing that it violates both U.S. and international law. As the debate rages on, the future of Guantanamo Bay and the fate of the immigrants who may be sent there remain uncertain.